Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh, I love it. A bright, cheery good morning from all of you. Welcome to the second annual Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month event. Oh, yes, round of applause, certainly. Never step over the applause. My name is Chi-Chi Wu. I am the chair of the Brookline Asian American Family Network, which is one of the co-sponsors of this event. The other co-sponsor of this event is the town of Brookline and the Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Community Relations. They are absolutely wonderful, and I'm going to refer them to the Office of Diversity from now on. So let me tell you a little bit about the event and then who put it together. So today's event is in two parts. This is part one. We are going to have a wonderful book talk with author Vincent Yee and special guest moderator Stephanie Fan. Then we are going to have performances here, which I will introduce when they come up to the stage. At 12:30, this is the second part. We are all going to move over to Town Hall, where there's going to be arts and crafts and fun activities for kids, and most importantly, food. Yay, food. This is an amazing event, and I have to thank the folks who put it together because it was a ton of work. So I wanted to thank BAFFN Steering Committee members, Alicia Hsu and Linda Tinson-Louie. Most of all, I have to thank Caitlin Starr. Her name says it all. She is a rock star. She is the backbone of this event. It's been a ton of work, and she's been amazing. And that's it. That's the committee. And it's been a ton of work. So one of the things I'm going to say now and I'm going to say at the end is we could really use some help for next year for this activity. This isn't just a fun event. This is the town of Brookline's official celebration of us, the Asian American community. We are nearly 1 in 5 residents in Brookline. And as you know, May is API Heritage Month. And it's recognized not only nationally and in Massachusetts, but the town of Brookline, as a result of a warrant article, or it's like a bill, officially recognizes May as API Heritage Month and officially has this event. It's a great event. We want to keep doing it every year, and we really could use some volunteers. One little housekeeping note, this event right now is being recorded by the Brookline Interactive Group, BIG. Shout out for BIG, our community television. They are always amazing, they are always there, and they are always there to provide access to these events. So, yes, let's get started. All right. So the theme of today is Asian American superheroes in Brookline. Before I call up Vincent Yee and Stephanie Fan, we're going to have a little video.
For all the little boys and girls who look like me watching tonight, this is a beacon of hope and possibilities. This is proof that dreams dream big and dreams do come true.
And if you have older children, middle school or high school, I recommend a book by Vincent E. That's another one of our authors. Say hi, Vincent.
What's up, Vincent?
What's up, Vincent? I really like that series because it shows Asian Americans that they can be superheroes. And I think everyone should have the opportunity to see themselves as superheroes in stories that they read and TVs that they watch.
Yeah, especially kids growing up. That's like so important.
All right, round of applause. That was a pretty amazing video. Vincent, did you put it together yourself?
I did.
Wow, that's good to know.
You should join BAFFN.
Yeah, really. So yeah, we're going to hear lots about this book series right now. And the format's going to take us a fireside chat between Vincent and our special guest moderator, Stephanie Fan. Stephanie has been a Brookline resident for over 50 years. I would say her title in Brookline is icon. She's an icon of not just the Brookline Asian American community, but the greater Boston and statewide Asian American community. She's been such a stalwart. She was involved with the founding of the Boston Chinatown Neighborhood Center, numerous other neighborhood organizations, which I can't even name because it's going to take too long. She's currently on the board of the Chinese Historical Society of New England. So Stephanie, come on up. And Vincent, our award-winning author. Vincent E. is a native Bostonian because he was born in the area, grew up here. I believe you went to Brookline High School, didn't you? Yeah, another fabulous, famous Brookline High graduate. Award-winning author, of course, of the Clara Wu series, first book of which placed second in the overall young adult fantasy category at BookFest. As you can see, he and the book showed up on the Kelly Clarkson show in 2023 to kick off AAPI Heritage Month. He also has a couple of other books for adults, The Purple Heart, story set in the Japanese American internment, which is, I've read it, it's wonderful. And The Tamago Stories, which is a collection of contemporary Asian American short stories. Love it. When he's not writing books, he's worked for several Fortune 100 companies in various managerial roles. He is a resident of Cambridge because he deserted us to go to the other side of the river. We'll forgive him. Come on up, Vincent.
Where is it? Yeah. Yep, there we go. Good morning. Thank you for your introduction, Chi-Chi. Okay, I'm very happy to be here with you this morning to talk with Vincent about his book series. Let me tell you why. You might have noticed that I am wearing a T-shirt that has 3 Asian females imprinted on it. They are famous, or they were famous Chinese martial artist movie actresses. And they were my role models when I was growing up because there were no Asian American role models that I could look to. Fortunately, growing up in Chinatown, I had access to weekly films from Hong Kong. So I was exposed to the sight of women warriors to Asian warriors. Otherwise, for me, there was Nancy Drew, there was Amelia Earhart. I learned about Mulan in Chinese school, but there are no Asian American young women to look to. In the Chinese films, the martial artist skills were fantastical. They were the superheroes. They could leap onto a wall surrounding someone's home, and they could leap up onto the roof. They could soar through the air. They could survive in a closed, smoke-filled room just by their meditative skills. And to me, this was all amazing because I don't know anybody that can do that. They could fight with swords and without. And Vincent's books reminded me of some of those scenes. The difference is that his stories are based on Asian American characters. Yes, at long last. Now, how did I learn about the Clara Wu series? It turns out that his aunt, who had been one of my students many, many years ago when I was teaching in Boston, was visiting from California, and whenever she comes to Boston, she wants to get together with her classmates from junior high, and they always invite me. I guess I was one of their favorite teachers.
Icon.
And so we had lunch together, and then before she left, she says, you know, my niece is going to be speaking at Brookline's Booksmith to read from her book, Far from the Rooftop of the World by Amy Yee. And she asked me, she says, if you have time, will you go and give my niece a little boost? And I said, sure, if I have time, I will. And I did go. And she read from her book, and afterwards I went over to Amy's mom to congratulate her on her daughter's accomplishment of writing this book that's been very well received. And while I was talking to her, she introduced me to her son, Vincent. And I said, Vincent, oh, are you the lawyer, Vincent, from the community? And she said, no, I'm not that Vincent. I'm Vincent, an author. I'm an author too. I said, really? I said, what did you write? And then he told me all about the Clara Wu series. And so shortly thereafter, I was chatting with my daughter, Melina, sitting here, and I suggested that her son, Theo, sitting next to her, might be interested in reading this series. So she did get the book from the library, I think. But they had only book one. And so he went after his mom and said, I need to read the rest of this. So my daughter ordered the rest of the series through Amazon on a Kindle, and he read the whole thing in a week, the whole series. So all 5 books, he read it all in a week. And I said, oh my God, what's in this book? You know? And my daughter said, he's totally obsessed with this book. So I decided that I would read it myself, and also to give an Asian American author some support. So I did get the series, and I read the series. And people said, well, that's a young adult book. Why are you reading a young adult book? If adults can read Harry Potter, we can also read Clara Wu. So I did read Clara Wu, and I'm happy to have a chance to introduce him to all of you and to ask him some questions where he can talk more about his book series. Yes, it's been fun being able to share this book with my grandson. And you know, I told him that at home I have like a lot of things that are mentioned in the book. I have pandas at home. I have a little dessert plate that has a white crane on it. I have a little water buffalo. And I have a book with a white tiger on it. Those are the 4 main characters that are represented in the book by our warriors. And I said, it's an Asian American household. Of course I would have a panda in my house. So it's been fun to be able to share these things with my grandson. Okay, I didn't read the series as quickly as he did, but I did read it and enjoyed it. All right. Do you want to go? Should I?
Yep.
Okay.
I do have sheep notes because I was Stefan's going to ask me some good questions.
All right, where is it? Okay. All right, Vincent, I was surprised and delighted at how your story pulled me into this fantastical Asian-inspired world. How did you imagine the world of Asian?
So, you know, I want to say 2 things. First, it's great to be back. I know I live in Cambridge, but I went to Brookline High School and Devotion, but now Florida, Riffin Rudley, I believe that's what it's called now. So I am true at heart a Brookline kid. I'm also, thank you, Chi-Chi, for the introduction. I love the fact that you're a Wu, introducing Clara Wu, so I thought that was very cool. A coincidence. You know, the world of Asians, I'm gonna give a little bit of a background. I've always been a writer. I've always wanted to write. You know, the first book I wrote, The Purple Heart, I thought that was gonna be the only book I would write. And, you know, I wrote, but in 2018, you know, it's about the imagination, right? So writers have an imagination. And I just had these scenes that were persisting in my head. Unlike dreams, we all have dreams, but then when we wake up, we do our routine, we forget our dreams, right? How many people forget their dreams, right? But for me, these scenes of this Asian American girl, I didn't know her name was Clara Wu at the time, but I just continued to see these scenes of Clara and then Sung and then Daniel Wynn and Yuka Sato doing these amazing scenes, and I just knew that I had a story. The question was, when could I write it? And I know the pandemic was a horrible, horrible time. I know that a lot of you are playing Roblox or Minecraft instead of doing homework, but it's okay, we won't tell anyone. But I used that time to actually write my book and to get started. And as a writer, we don't know where page one is going to lead us. We don't know where we're going to finish. And to make a long story short, you saw the video. The story was already there. These amazing characters already existed in my head, and they just needed to come out in some way or form. And so 5 books were written in 6 months and then published within a year. I think I have some other images as well. So who has read Harry Potter here? Right? Harry Potter is great, right? And for Clara Wu, the way that world AZN is a whole entire world inspired by our Asian cultures. And there's mysterious places which are great to explore in your mind. And so these are the characters. What's really cool, so this is the AZN cast here. You see Clara on the right with the green. You see Yuka Sato in the middle with the white jade, powered by she's got the Moonstar powered by the white jade. Daniel Wynn on the left with his club horn powered by the red jade. And you've got Sung Kim on the right. And they've got their guardian animals, which is great. I wanted to create an Asian-inspired world where the kingdoms were actually run by Asian animals, because I think that creates a totally, entirely different aspect for your imagination. And also food. So I will recommend do not read this book if you're hungry, because just like Harry Potter, right? Harry Potter introduced a lot of great foods, but I wanted to fold in our foods, because I read a number of fantasy books about in Europe and medieval times. You know what they always ate? Bread and water. That's all they always. I took out the bread and water from my tunic and they ate it dry. It was horrible, horrible eating experience. But in the world of AZN, there are kimchi pancake. You saw the wontons earlier, tamago, and banh mi. And of course, they search for their boba because they are kids that exist today. And those are my characters. I want to fold in our cultural things, but in a mysterious and a fantastical world called AZN. So I hope you guys will explore.
Okay, thank you. The Asian American community is so amazingly diverse, and I loved how your story did feature characters from 4 different Asian ethnicities. Can you talk about how they became a central theme to your story and how you learned enough? Because, you're Chinese ethnic, right?
Exactly.
So how did you learn about the other 3 cultures?
Yeah, when I went to elementary school here in Brookline, I had friends who were Taiwanese, I had friends who were Korean and Vietnamese. So I've always grew up with friends who were different Asian ethnicities. But as I got older, I met even more amazing Asian American friends of different ethnicities, Japanese, Filipino, and what have you. And I knew, and again, my imagination was telling me that these 4 characters, who are Chinese, Korean, Vietnamese, and Japanese, could come together, fight Asian spawn demons together, and save the world while they find their favorite boba. That's what we all do. We're all friends, we all love our own foods, and why can't that be part of a great story called The World of AZN? So I wanted to fold in the different ethnicities. There are 59 Asian American ethnicities. I couldn't do 59, I'll start with 4 just to make it easier, but I think the 4 are great. What's funny is I have a number of my Vietnamese and Korean friends who read the book. They're like, God, Vincent, this character sounds so much like me. And I had to say to them, no, it was not inspired by you, but they wanted to be inspired by them. And as an author, I will tell you, don't tell your friends that they inspired the book, because they will then tell everybody that they inspired you to write the book. And they take credit for it, seriously, they do. So just keep it behind in the background, and I want to involve my friends. The thing about the research, you're totally right. And as much as I had these friendships, I did do a lot of research. And so, for example, the guardian animals, I want to make sure that the guardian animals for all the characters would be aligned with their culture. So, Clara Wu is Chinese, so she has an amazing panda guardian. Sung Kim, he's got the guardian tiger, a white guardian tiger. Yuka has the red-crowned crane, which is native to Japan. And Daniel Wynn has the water buffalo. And these creatures within their Asian cultures are very important, so I want to include them. I also want to, you can't be superheroes without amazing weapons, right? You have to fight evil with something. You just can't fight them with your hunger and food. So you have amazing weapons. So Clara has the bow of destiny, which is powered by the green jade. And then you have Sung Kim, who has the claw staff powered by the blue jade. And then you have Yuka Sato, who has the moon star powered by the white jade. And then you have Daniel Wynn, who has the club horn powered by the red jade. So that all makes it very cool, because once you can see your cultural elements in the book, feeding your heroes, it becomes an amazing experience for your imagination. And I just want to also say so the research. So I did do a lot of research. I actually did, use Google a lot, and I talked to friends too. The book also introduces 5 languages into the book. It's got Mandarin, Cantonese, Korean, Vietnamese, and Japanese. And let me tell you, never ever use Google Translate to translate your Asian languages. So I went to native speakers who are friends of mine to make sure that the context, the translations are correct. And even my Korean translator, she's actually a certified UN Korean translator. So I knew that was legit and I could trust her to get the right translations. So
Can I just say,
yeah,
add something to that?
Yeah.
You should not be bewildered by the fact that there are so many different languages in the book, because Vincent, for our edification, he has a little dictionary in the back. So if you forget one of the words that he's used in his novel, you can just go to the dictionary in the back and remind yourself what that word is all about. So that was great. That was great, because and it's in every one of in each one of the books. So you don't have to go back and find book 1. It's in every book, and it's very, very helpful.
That's a great point too, because educators actually like that. When I talk to a lot of educators, one, they love the fact that one Asian American book can introduce 4 Asian cultures, but then they love the fact about the dictionary as well. And as each book progresses, the dictionary gets a little bit bigger. So you actually will learn something, maybe to understand a little K-drama that you may be watching on Netflix. So that's part of the research. So a lot of research, Google, working with my friends for the translations and what have you, because I wanted to make it real, and that's the whole point.
Yeah, that's great. So even though this is a young adult book, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it gave me a chance to connect with Theo, my grandson. And now even my daughter is reading the book, the series.
I believe she finished book 1, right? Yeah.
So was it your hope that this book could be read by anyone of any age? And did you add the intergenerational aspects on purpose?
That is definitely the goal. So I'm going to show this picture here and leave it up a little bit. Every single book, when you publish a book, has to be categorized some way, somehow. Sci-fi, children's book, what have you. So because the characters in this book were all 15 years old, they were young adult. So young adult is described as 12 to 18 years old. But I needed to write it in such a way that I felt that younger, higher middle grade schoolers could read it, but also adults and people who are retired could also read it as well.
That's me.
That's you. And it's so awesome that you did. I think the great thing is, you never know of the readability of the book until it gets into the market. Like Harry Potter. Harry Potter was a children's book, and the expectations were low because Scholastic thought it was too complex, and it was too long for a children's book. But you know what? Children read it, their parents read it, their uncles read it, soon their grandparents read it, and the whole thing just took off because the storyline was so amazing. And so I'm happy that now that's been, out for almost 2 years, that many people of different ages are reading it. I think the youngest person that has read it is 8 years old. It took her 2 months to read it, but I'm finding that most of the readers are 12 to 18, which is great. And then also have adults who are reading as well, which is awesome. And the intergenerational part, you're totally right, because it is an Asian American book. There are Asian American parents, and I want to fold that aspect into the book. It's not the main theme of the book, but it does come up in scenes, and I think it becomes poignant, pivotal. And also some of my Asian friends who are now parents were like, wow, is this how I'm treating my kid as a parent? And so it gives them to kind of step out of their shoes for a second and to see how they are becoming a parent to the second generation or third generation of Asian American kids. And so, some of the pictures here are really my friends' kids. I think one of the really great things about my book, aside from the different ethnicities, there's one character which I won't reveal who is actually biracial. And so this character has to find out about identity and being biracial. And that becomes really important in the book as well. But I want to talk about the middle picture here. So her mother introduced me to her at the bookstore. And I had a sample t-shirt that day. And when I took out the sample t-shirt, her face literally crumbled because she was actually on book 4 already. But she saw the t-shirt and she saw Clara Wu and she could see herself. And she was taking off her jacket because she wanted to wear the t-shirt. And so she did. And what's really great also is she also created an avatar in her games that she plays. I don't know what game she's playing, but she made her own avatar to look like Clara Wu, to basically, how she would say, beat up demons in the games that she's playing to save the world. And that is so inspiring because when children can see themselves, then they want to be that person and be part of their culture. So I thought that was very cool. So yes.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to invite my grandson, Theo, to come up and ask a question of you. I hope you don't mind.
Of course not. Don't ask me tough questions, Theo.
Hold the mic up to your mouth. Yeah.
So, you made 5 books.
Yes.
And I was wondering if you actually planned out the plot for all 5 books, or you only planned some of them and then decided to continue on after that.
Good question. So I had all these scenes. I would probably say there were about 20, 25 scenes that persisted in my head. And when I finally had the time to put them in order, I said, okay, I think I have a story here. And that's when I did the outline. As I did the outlines, as a writer, you're gonna meet a lot of different writers and how they write. Some people write just on Word and it comes out as they write. I like to be a little more organized. I like to outline my books because 5 books is really tough. 1 book is already tough enough. Writing 5 is challenging, so I knew I had to be really organized for this aspect. So I did write all the chapters, but I will say that in book 3, because Theo here has read all 5 books in 1 week, but in book 3, there was a pivot in the middle of the book. And we can talk about that later. I don't want to spoil it for everybody here. And when I finished book 4, you have to remember, book 4, I was probably 800 pages in at that time. It's a lot of work, and my hands were tired. And that's just writing. But the 5th book, I had to rewrite the outline because by that time, all the characters, their personalities were all formed. And I realized that I had to readjust the outline for book 5 to accommodate all the character development. So, so hopefully that answers the question, Theo.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Cool.
Another question? No. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Theo. Let's give Theo a round of applause for his cameo moderation, yes. Good job, Theo.
There were several parts of the series that really appealed to me. Of course, one of them is, without giving it away too much, is the pool of longevity. Since I'm retired now, and since I would like to live long enough to see Theo become a superhero. But one of the other things, because I am also a member of the Chinese Historical Society of New England, is the scenes where some of the warriors do go to the origins pool. They look into the pool and they learn about their past. They learn about their family's past. How did that scene come to you, Vincent? And I really appreciate your including that in the book.
I know you love this scene. So without giving too much away, because every single fantasy series definitely has to have something mystical about it. And so there are these very magical, mystical pools within the world of Asian that do totally, entirely different things. And so, the origins pool came out of my imagination. And, without saying too much, these 4 Asian American kids, when they are transported to the world of Asian, it may be fun at first. You're talking to talking pandas, talking white tigers, and red-crowned cranes and what have you. But they get homesick. Everybody gets homesick. And I knew I needed a way for them to, how should we say, connect with their parents. And to give them, some, without telling too much, but also when you're told, next week you have to get an A on a paper, but then you're also told you have to save the world. That's a lot of work for a 15-year-old. And so they just need some comfort. They need some comfort. And the Origins Pool was what came to my mind to give that. So, yeah, I think, yeah, good. Okay.
And my last question involves how you did this. These books are all self-published, so you bore the brunt of the cost of publishing all these books. Could you tell us about self-publishing in general and the difference with traditional publishing and what that meant to you?
More than happy to give a high-level outline. So, many authors try to get a literary agent. All right? A literary agent is someone who loves your work and then they try to sell it to a publisher. But it's not easy. There are still actually barriers for many Asian Americans to get their book published. I know friends who have written books, they've got manuscript, and they've been trying to get a literary agent for over a decade, if not 2 decades, and they give up. They literally give up. So when I pretty much finished the 5 books, I said to myself, look, I'll try to get a literary agent, I'll give it 90 days, because usually that's how long it takes for them to respond, 90 days, 30, 90 days. And, and rejection is part of the process. And I knew that I had a pretty good idea that I was going to get rejected, because it's already challenging to get a book that focuses on one Asian ethnicity. To get one that features 4 Asian cultures who want to save the world and find boba, it's already tough. And so when I got the rejection, but I already knew that I wanted to self-publish. But as a self-publisher, I take on all the costs. I show, oh, interesting. So I wanted to show this image, and it was basically like, I know you've probably seen it, it's like an iceberg. So you see the tip of the iceberg, and the tip of the iceberg is like the book, all right? You see the book, you see the finished product, you see the nice cover here, and what have you, and it looks great. But what people don't see is beneath the iceberg, all the work that goes into it, all the sacrifices. There are so many Asian American entrepreneurs nowadays, and I'm so glad that they're trying to get out there to create things. But you know what, a lot of us, we leave the comfort of our jobs. We cash in our savings or cash in our 401ks. Some, would probably take on some credit card debt. Some would probably invest in meme stocks and see their investments plummet, unfortunately. But there's a huge financial sacrifice, and without giving too much away, so even though it's a self-published book, each book, for me personally, costs thousands of dollars to produce. Because you have to hire editors, you have to hire the illustrator, you have to you build a website, all those costs come into play. And doing 5 in 1 year, it was a huge financial cost. But I believed in this book. I believe that Asian American readers need to see themselves as superheroes. And I want them to see it through Clara Wu and her friends, Sung, Yuka, and Daniel. Because we need to see ourselves as Asian American superheroes, because we're awesome. We very much are. And to traditional publishing, so I'm going to speak to that. I have one friend that kind of gave me the high level. You got a literary agent, you sold 1 book, they give you an advance against the sales you will make. So what it is, and I'm going to use an arbitrary number. Let's say, for example, they were given $50,000. So they would have to sell 25,000 books at $2 a piece to make back $50,000. That's kind of like the standard rate. And what it is they make it back, the publisher can say, oh, wow, okay, that's the first run. Let's do a second run and see if it's successful. If it's not, or the sales start to dwindle, the publisher leaves you. They are basically going to work with other successful authors, and they will wait for your second book. But if you don't have a second book, your writing career is pretty much done. So there are a lot of one-time authors, which are great, and they have books. But a lot of times, one-time authors, they are just they're like everybody else. 1 book can probably make 1 annual salary. But if they can't come up with additional books, they're pretty much done. And I think, for example, I'll use Obama as an example. So his book, it's been several years. I think his royalties from the latest year or 2 was only $5,000. So, and that's what it is. Unless the book is a raging success, like Harry Potter, most books, unless there's some way to sustain the sales, basically plateau, and which is normal for many, many books. So there are a lot of one-time authors out there. And I wrote a whole series because I wanted basically Asian American readers and our allies too. I want our allies to see ourselves as Asian American superheroes because they don't get to see us as superheroes. And I want them to see us as superheroes. but I want the full immersive experience. I want to leave you on cliffhangers so that you ask your mom, I need to get this book, Mom, I need to get this book, and then they'll hopefully read the whole entire series. So that's the high level of traditional versus publishing.
Okay. I do have one last question, which really was not my question, but my grandson's question, because the first time he met Vincent, I said, do you have a question for him? And he said, yes. When is book 6 coming out? So he's kind of answered that with, with his description of what's involved in self-publishing. And so I hope that all of you and all your friends and family will support his efforts so that we will get a book 6, and hopefully it will be so popular that some producer will come along and make a movie out of this. Because when I read the book, I said, like, this is so perfect to be converted into a film.
Totally, I agree. I agree.
And so it would be like the Chinese movies that I saw, except would be featuring Asian American heroes this time.
Exactly. Oh, you know what's funny about, I know Theo wants me to write book 6, and I already know, so the next volume is going to be 5 additional books if I get the opportunity to write the next volume. So volume 2 is the next 5 books. I actually know how it ends already. In my head, I see it playing in my head like literally every other day, and it's a really cool ending, that's all I have to say. But you have to read volume 1. I hope you'll love it, as Stephanie mentioned, as much as she loves it, her grandson and her daughter. So yes, thank you.
Okay, are there any questions from the audience that you would like to ask of the author? Theo, you're welcome to ask another question if you want. Okay, Chi-Chi.
Yes. How did you pick your illustrator?
All right, Chi-Chi's question was, how did you pick your illustrator?
So I'm going to give you a story about that. So I found my illustrator actually online. And I followed his work, and I liked the work a lot, so I reached out to him. And he was based in LA, and he created the first cover, the first image, I should say. And mind you, I had to, it's about budgets and what have you, and I chose the image, I liked it. And then he did the second one as well. And then I reached out to him to do book 3, and he said, oh, Vincent, I'm sorry, I can't do book 3. I'm tied up with work. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got 3 additional books to create covers for and illustrations. So then I reached out to Fiverr. For those of you who know, the Fiverr is a platform for freelancers. And I was like scrambling to find a new illustrator. And I found an illustrator who was willing to do the cover for book 3. And I gotta tell you, when the sketches came back, I was kind of scared. I wish I had pictures to show you what it really looked like beforehand. And I was kind of scared, but I said, oh my God, I have a limited budget. But then the illustrator said, no, don't worry, Vincent. This is an unrendered version of the cover. And he sent it back to me. He sent back this amazing cover with Clara Wu in a dark landscape flying through the moonscape. I was like, oh my God, it's amazing. And I had to make a hard and easy decision. I had to get the illustrator to redo covers books 1 and 2, which is an additional cost. But then I also planned ahead to do book 4 and 5 because I didn't want to be left hanging again. And so basically this new illustrator, who is actually not in the US, the illustrator is actually in Asia through Fiverr. A lot of great Asian illustrators work on Fiverr. And that's how I found the illustrator. And I locked in the timeline with the illustrator ahead of time, and then locked in the 5 covers and redeployed books 1 and 2. So those of you, there are some people who have the original covers, books 1 and 2, which are no longer in print. They're saying that they will sell it on eBay 20 years later. That's what they told me. But that's how I chose my illustrator, but there's a whole story behind that about choosing an illustrator and going through the setback, but then making the hard and right decision, because I think the covers look great now. They're all consistent, and so that's the answer to that.
So did the illustrators have to read the whole series before they came up with?
No, they did not. What I did was I sent them a document. So I had a really good idea what the cover looked like, what the what the sketches would look like. So I just sketched it out. My sketching is horrible. I used to be a much better artist when I was in Brookline, not anymore. So I did that, sent that to my illustrator, and the illustrator was able to bring it to life. I think to your point, I had a really clear idea of what I wanted for the illustrator, which made the illustrator jobs easier. So yes.
Any other questions out there? Go ahead.
I have a question and a statement. So, Claire Galloway Jones, I'm the Executive Director of Educational Equity for the Public Schools of Brookline. I want to thank Chi-Chi and Alicia. This has been fabulous this morning. You know, you get up on a Saturday, you say, oh, no, I need to work today. This has been well worth it. It really has, and it really ties into a lot of the work that we're trying to do in the office. I've only been here since July, almost a year, and we've been, BAFFN has been a great partner. So again, I want to thank Chi-Chi and Alicia for all the hard work and the partnering they've done with our office. It's interesting you talk about representation.
Yes.
It's a big part of the work that we're doing, and that it's incredibly important for you to be able to see yourself. I'm curious what your experience was like when you were at devotion, at FRR, and at the high school around representation. If you could share what that was like, and then how you think this book will help impact some of the work that we're trying to do, and what it would have done for you.
So just to repeat the question in a high level was, when I went to elementary school and high school here, what was my experience with representation? You know, I was lucky, as I mentioned, when I was in elementary school, I had friends who were Vietnamese, Chinese, Korean, but we really never explored each other's culture. We just knew that we were maybe, you know, we were young. We just wanted to go out to Amory Park and collect things from the swamp, you know, that's what we did as kids. And then in high school, you know, I would say there probably wasn't that much, say, Asian American curriculum. There were Asian studies, which I took it, which is all great. But now that I look back on it, it wasn't Asian American per se. Right? A lot of it was Asian history, which is totally entirely fine. But I think we need a curriculum which is more holistic, right? To have Asian American, even fiction, because fiction is a powerful thing, especially when you're trying to get Asian Americans to see themselves as superheroes, more than they can be. And so now that I look back and coming back here to Brookline, which is great, you know, I want to introduce these books, you know, use as a medium, as a way to show them how they are seen today, how they can see themselves in their heads as Asian American superheroes, how our allies can see ourselves. Because I go to a number of schools to present my book, and one of the questions I ask is, can you name me an Asian American superhero? Can someone name me an Asian American superhero? And it's silence. It's silence. Now, I put a picture of Shang-Chi. Everybody recognizes Shang-Chi. But it's only one. And you know, Shang-Chi is great, but we need more. And in order to have more, we have to create them, right? And I think for me is, as I said, as I got older, I had many friends who were different Asian ethnicities, and we all love hanging out with each other. But why couldn't we all come together, you know, find boba, find our favorite Korean food, what have you, and fight Asian spawn demons together to save the world? And so I want to use fiction in that sense for better Asian representation.
Let me just add to that. When I was watching TV in my youth, there was a TV series that was being introduced called Kung Fu. And that was going to be based in the Wild West of America. And I says, oh, great, this is going to give me an opportunity to have an Asian American hero. And Bruce Lee, I think most of you know who Bruce Lee was, he tried out for that spot and did not get it. And they gave that role to a white actor. And it was just so disappointing to me. So I lost out on my chance to have a superhero that was Asian American.
I agree.
And also, to another point, you know, thank you for your efforts to bring more Asian staff into the Brookline schools. When my children started, my daughter and my son started in the Brookline schools, there were very, very few Asians in the system at the staff level. And so several of us parents did get together, and that was one of the things we asked the Brookline schools for, and that we need to have more Asian American teachers, not just for the Asian American kids, but for all of the students in the Brookline schools, for them to see that Asian Americans can be teachers too, that we don't all work in a restaurant. So thank you for your efforts.
Totally. You know, I just want to add to that as well about the whole Kung Fu series. So that's misrepresentation, right? That's Asian misrepresentation. And I wanted to point out, because now that I'm older, I've actually talked to a lot of my friends who went to BHS, and they said that they were actually ashamed of being Asian. They didn't want to acknowledge it, they wanted to ignore it. And because they never see themselves as in a positive way. I think when Crazy Rich Asians came out in 2018, do you remember the iconic poster where you see Constance Wu and Henry Golden looking at each other? lovingly, what have you. A friend texted me, she goes, "Oh my God, Vincent, is this what white people feel every single day? Because they see themselves portrayed positively every single day." And she just felt it for like once in a lifetime. She was like, "Is this how they feel every single day?" And I thought that was such an awesome question from her, or a revelation for her as well. So, yeah.
And without giving too much away, a little bit of that comes out in the book as well, in the book series. Okay, any other questions? Burning away? Okay, Chi-Chi?
Actually, we got a few more slides. So we got a few more slides here. Who knows AI? Everybody knows AI, right? So I asked AI to reimagine my characters, and this is what AI did. Cool. So that's AI, but it will depend on all of you to love the books and hopefully make it into a movie for Stephanie.
I'm looking forward to that.
All right, some fun collabs. I just want to end it really here. So you know what? I'm using the books in a different way as well. Who likes macarons here? Macaron lovers? Awesome. So Emma's Macarons is teaming up with me. And I'm going to play this quick video. Actually, I'm going to move to the coupon sheet. If you come to the town hall, I've got coupon sheets. Essentially what it is for every book that you bring in, you buy a 6-pack, they will give you 2 bonus macarons for each book. So you get 8 instead of 6. Also, I've teamed up with the iStore, okay? So the iStore is going to basically, if you bring in book 1, 35% off frames and lenses. But if you bring in all 5 books, buy 1 frame and lens and get 1 free from a limited selection. So that's how Clara Wu can be a superpower in the real life. And takeaways, so I will be in Town Hall, table 12. If you want to come and chat with me and also look at some of the books and what have you. And I just want to say thank you to everyone here. Thank you to the BAFFN, thank you to the town of Brookline and the Brookline Library System, and Stephanie and Chi-Chi. And for those who want to follow me, that's where you may find me. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ethan. Thank you, Stephanie. That was a wonderful fireside chat. We love hearing. A round of applause for our speakers. But I just want to say a few words. Listening to these remarks about Vincent's experiences growing up in Brookline, going to FRR, and Stephanie's experiences, sort of these themes continue over the years. When we founded the Brookline Asian American Family Network over a dozen years ago, top on our list was more Asian American teachers and staff, and it's been something we've been working on, and we're still working on, with the allyship and support, of course, of folks like Claire Galloway Jones and folks at the Brookline schools. In terms of seeing yourself in the curriculum, in the books, so important. And very grateful for authors like Vincent. As some of you may remember, BAFFN, especially our former steering committee member Shulan Chang, spearheaded a book drive to get Asian American books in the high school, or we're trying to do it in the elementary schools as well, because again, we want to see our kids, 1 in 5 students in the Brookline schools, be able to see themselves in both the staff, the teachers, and the books, and the curriculum. We have a course on Asian American history at the high school, but we really need Asian American studies, Asian American history in all the schools for everyone to learn. So thank you.
Thank you.
Chi-Chi, I noticed that there are a lot of children here today, and I hope that someday in the future you will all be writing your own books too.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So, next up we have student performances. We're going to start off in a minute or two with the Baker School Band Dance. next performance is by the Treveni School of Dance. You know, this is one of my favorites. When BAFFN used to hold its Lunar New Year celebration, back before we joined forces with the library, these guys would come all the time, and they were so wonderful. And their instructor is going to say a few words about the kids. All right. Let's hear from the Treveni dancers.
The dance is dedicated to Shiva, seen as the Raja, the Lord of Dance. Shiva's body movement is the movement of the entire world. His speech is the universal speech. His ornaments are the moon and the stars. He is the embodiment of truth, so we bow to him. Purva Rama.
Okay, next up, we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to move from classical to contemporary. We got some K-pop dancers, Baker School K-pop. Come on
기도했어 녹아버린 스카 커져버린 헛대로 고맙게 해달라는 기도했어 너의 상처는 날 상처 깨달았을 때 나 다짐했던 거 네가 숨긴 그곳에 나에게로 태양이 아닌 너에게로
Overload. Oh, they were so wonderful. And a plus with the K-pop dancers.
You did a wonderful job.
So next up, we have performers from the Brookline Chinese School. Come on up.
Yeah, good. Okay, let's play the hulus. Where's the hulus? We only have the 2 or 3 class. So, very basically, for a beginner. Yeah, this is a Chinese instrument called hulus. It's a Chinese instrument from Yunnan China. It's called hulus. It sounds like a recorder. Okay, 来 come here. Yeah. 我们站一排，好吗？ Come here. Yes. Mary, go there. Mary, go there. Yes. Yes, left. Please, right. Okay. Yeah. Ready? Mary, do it. Da, 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 da. Yes, yes. Ready? Okay. Okay, got it. Yeah. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. One, two. Can you be more strong? Yeah. 1, 2, 3, go. Two taggers. Do, re, mi, do, re, mi, do, mi, fa, so. Okay. That's two taggers. Do, re, mi, do. 1, 2, 3, go.
Thank you so much, Brookline Chinese School. Yeah. I'm blanking on your name, but you're an incredible performer. You've come to a bunch of our Lunar New Year events. It's been amazing. You played at Jordan Hall. It's always a treat. And now you're teaching young students. Oh, wow. What a rare opportunity. If you have little kids, send your kids to study. He's a master. All right, we're switching back to contemporary. Do we have some popcorn dancers in the house? Yeah, popcorn dancers, come on up. all of these. All right, let's give them a round of applause. Woo! I want to thank all of the performers and give them a round of applause. Brookline Community School, Baker School of Jazz, Baker School K-pop, and Baker School Fan Dance. Thank you. Also, big thanks to Vincent Yee, Stephanie Fan for the book talk. And most of all, thank you to the organizers, Alicia Hsu, Linda Chisholm-Louie, and our lead organizer, rock star, technical assistants, sound, video, and everything. The one, the only, Caitlin Starr from the Office of Diversity. She deserves all the applause. This wouldn't be possible without her. And as you can see, the committee was small, 3 people. So again, we really need help to do this next year. We want to do this every year. This is the town's official celebration of us. Almost 1/5 of the population in Brookline. So please consider, think about reaching out to me, Caitlin, Alicia, any of us to volunteer to help organize next year's event. All right, the moment you've been waiting for. Going over Town Hall, there's food, there's activity, there's fun. It's running till 3 o'clock. Again, Office of Diversity.